Jared here with CarBuzz.com, and today Nissan has flown me out to Nashville, Tennessee to drive the all-new third generation 2020 Versa. This is Nissan's smallest sedan in the lineup. It sits below the Sentra, then the Altima, then the Maxima. So this is a very affordable, very subcompact car, meaning that it is not on the upper scale of Nissan's lineup, but they have crammed it with new safety features to try and target a young demographic who would otherwise be looking at a used car, but now can afford a brand new car like this Versa. So how does it drive? We're going to go ahead and get it out on the road, but before we do, be sure to click the link in the description below to get the best deals on the 2020 Nissan Versa. Now let's go drive it. Alright, so now we're underway in the all-new 2020 Nissan Versa. The one we're driving here is the SR trim, so that's the fully loaded model. It means we've got all the safety features. We also have that SR convenience pack. It's $300, gets you heated seats, and you get the adaptive cruise control. I think that's a really good value for $300. So let's start to talk about the changes on this all-new Versa, because Nissan is stressing that this is an all-new car over the second generation model. Now, the second gen Versa, I've never tested one for CarBuzz, but I have driven them as rental cars, and all I can say is, yuck, not a fun experience. How is this one to drive? So first of all, cabin, much nicer. We'll go into that a little bit later. The 1.6 liter engine, that is going to be new for 2020. It gets a really nice power increase over the old model. The old model only produced 109 horsepower, which felt very sluggish. This one produces 122, 114 foot-pounds of torque. That's a 12% increase, and it's the same as what you get in the kicks. Now, all that power is going to the front wheels only. There's no all-wheel drive available, pretty obvious in this class. Through this Xtronic CVT transmission we have here, I'll get onto that a little bit later. But if you opt for the base model, the S trim, you can get a 5-speed manual, although you're going to have a huge fuel economy penalty if you do that. So the one we're driving here gets 32 in the city, 40 on the highway. Nissan hit that magic 40 number, and you'll get 35 mpg combined. We've been mostly stop and go, so I'm only at 26 mpg average, but I have no trouble believing. Before we stopped and shot some video and photo and stuff like that, I was about in that 30 range. Now, I mentioned the manual is going to cut down on that quite heavily. You're only going to get 27 in the city, 35 on the highway, and 30 combined. Those are pretty big penalties there. But you're going to get a ton of safety technology standard. You're going to have Nissan's safety shield, as they call it. That's going to have things like blind spot warning, rear cross traffic alert. So yeah, really nice safety features here on this car. So let's talk about this engine with this CVT transmission. Nissan has come a really long way with their CVTs. I drove the old Versa, and ugh, that CVT was not a fun thing. Now, this one is still not amazing. I drove the Murano, which obviously has a lot more power than this, and I think a CVT in that application is obviously a lot nicer because of the extra power. I'm going to go ahead and floor it. Let's see what we got here. Alright, okay, it kind of pretended to simulate a gear there, but it didn't try too hard like it does in the Maxima. That was flat out there, and I definitely didn't go a lot faster when I put my foot to the floor there. So this is definitely not a speed machine, but remember, it does get 40 mpg. Now, when I drove the kicks, I was really not enamored with the steering. I thought it was way too vague to give me a sense of control from behind the wheel. Now, Nissan didn't tell me that there was a huge difference between this car and the kicks. Maybe just that this is a little lower than the kicks. Obviously, the kicks is a taller vehicle. But for whatever reason, I do feel a little bit more confidence in this than I did in the kicks. The steering is still very light. Not a lot of feedback to it, as you'd expect from like a subcompact car like this, but it doesn't feel as disconnected as it did in the kicks. Maybe it's just been too long since I've driven a kicks, but you know, that could be. The seating position is, I've gotten used to it. When I first stepped in the car, I didn't think there was enough adjustability because the steering wheel does tilt, but it does not telescope, and the seat doesn't go quite low enough for me to be comfortable. I like to sit real low, even though I'm not very tall, but I've gotten used to the seating position, and Nissan's zero gravity seats are very nice, very little pressure points, so like I feel really nice on my back, although there's not really any lumbar adjustment there. So yeah, this is basically going to be your basic commute car if you just want something really affordable that drives pretty well, has all of the modern accoutrement of technology. This car is going to do it, and at highway speeds and, you know, accelerating onto the highway, it doesn't feel like you're a hindrance like you used to feel in the old Versa. So I think Nissan has done a good enough job to make a subcompact car like this feel pretty substantial. So now I'm going to pull over so that we can talk about the interior, which is, again, really nice for a car in the subcompact class like this. Now that we've pulled over, let's check out the interior. And this is an area where Nissan has massively improved the Versa, because the old one was just a symphony of cheap plastics and very little technology. This one is quite nice, but remember, this is a car that even fully loaded will not crest 20 grand. So don't like come thinking it's going to have leather interior, ventilated seats and all that stuff, but it does come very well equipped. We're sitting in the fully loaded SR trim with the convenience pack. So we do have some cheap plastics on the door, on the uppers, but it is slightly soft to the touch. We do have like leather here on the dashboard. I'm not sure if that's real leather, probably not, but we do have some nice orange accent stitching. The steering wheel does feel a little bit cheap, although it is sort of like a fake leather material, which is not too bad whatsoever. You just have to keep remembering that price point here. Now, no matter which car you get in the Versa lineup, you are going to get this 7-inch touchscreen, which works pretty well. It's very easy to use. I haven't played around with it too much on this drive, but it does have all of your basic functions, FM, XM, satellite radio here, and you do get Apple CarPlay and Android Auto here. Also on this top trim, we have heated seats, we have automatic climate control, only a single zone, you don't get dual automatic climate control. You also don't get a sunroof, not available, but you do have a ton of safety features that can be controlled here. On the steering wheel, you do have adaptive cruise control on this model, which is great. A push button start, which is available on all Versa models, which is really cool. This is our CVT automatic transmission that I talked about while we were driving. If you throw it into reverse, you do have a camera with trajectory and parking sensors. That is really good for a car of this price point. I'm very surprised at how well that works out. I found that the driving position is not really to my liking, but I got comfortable in it over a long enough period of time. And now I'm going to talk you through the gauges, which are pretty unique on this car, very similar to what you get on the Nissan Kicks SUV. All right, so Nissan has done something quite interesting here with the gauge cluster. I want to point you towards right here where the tachometer is. We're just having it show our normal tach information with fuel economy here, but if I scroll over, that can actually have all of our system settings. I can have it show all of my adaptive driving aid systems. I can have it showing my average MPG, which you can see is almost 32 MPG on this trip that we've done so far, which is pretty darn good as well. And I can also have it showing my audio sources, or if I don't need any of that information, I can just have it be a standard tachometer, which is pretty cool. I do like how that works, and the storage up here is pretty good as well. Now let's go ahead and check out the back seats, which are pretty much unchanged from the outgoing Versa. Now that I'm in the back seat, I want to point out that this is only available as a sedan so far. We're going to go ahead and check out the trunk in just a bit. Nissan has not announced a replacement for the Versa Note, which was the hatchback model, yet, but when I asked about rear seat legroom, they said it's pretty much going to be unchanged. They did lower the seating position a little bit to give a little more headroom. Right now I have the seat forward for filming purposes, but I was able to sit behind myself just fine. I actually own a car in this segment segment. I have the Fiesta, which is going to be killed off pretty soon, and this is definitely more roomy back here. The load floor isn't completely flat, but again, this is not a super expensive car. Not a lot of toys back here. No folding armrests here. You do have a single cup holder here with 2 USB ports, and then there's another USB port up front, so 3 total. That's not bad for an inexpensive car like this. And we do have automatic windows, although I think the base model has wind-up ones, although I'd have to check, double check on that. Now let's go ahead and check out that trunk. No hatchback available, at least not at the time of filming. All right, so around back, we've got very similar looking lines to the larger Altima, which is good. I think that is a very nice looking car. I think the Sentra Versa being a little bit smaller than that doesn't look quite as good. It looks better on an elongated platform, but this is not bad whatsoever. Nissan has also improved trunk space pretty greatly on this 3rd generation model. We've got 14.3 cubic feet of storage, which is not bad back here for a pretty small vehicle like this. And of course, we do have a 60/40 split folding rear seat, so you can get larger items in there as well. Now that we've checked out the trunk, let's go ahead and price out our affordable little Versa. All right, so as you'd expect from a Versa, this has always been one of, if not the most affordable brand new car on the market. The 2020 model is also very affordable. The base S trim with the manual transmission, that's going to start at $14,730. If you want to get the auto, that's going to be a pretty big step up to $16,400. That's for the CVT automatic transmission. All other trims above the S are going to include the automatic transmission as standard. The SV trim is $17,640, and the one that we've driven here, the fully loaded SR trim, that's $18,240 plus an $840 destination charge. And if you want to add that SR convenience package, that's just another $300. Highly recommend that. You get heated seats and the adaptive cruise control. That's pretty cheap for this car. Now, to put that into perspective on how affordable this car is, the Nissan Kicks, which is the SUV based on this car, costs $18,600 to start, which is more than the fully loaded Versa, and tops out at about $20,900. So this is one of, if not the most affordable cars on the market, and it's definitely the most affordable in Nissan's lineup. So now let's sum up our time with the 2020 Versa. So now that I've spent some brief time driving the 2020 Versa, it's time to sum up my opinions of it. I want to try and get this car in for a week of testing because I only got to drive it for a few hours today, but I can already say right off the bat that I do prefer it to the Nissan Kicks. I think it drives a little better. I definitely think I like the sedan look a little better. They've cleaned it up so much since the last generation Versa. This is just such a much more handsome looking car. The interior doesn't feel really tinny, like it only belongs in a rental fleet anymore, which is why I'm going to give the 2020 Nissan Versa a score of great buy. I think there are very few subcompact cars in this class that offer such an affordable price with really good safety technology, Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, the lot, just the bare minimum of safety and technology features that will make this a better purchase than buying something that's 1 or 2 years old and used, and the gas mileage is simply amazing. I hope you've enjoyed the video. See you next time. And if you liked this review of the 2020 Nissan Versa, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the CarBuzz YouTube channel, and be sure to hit that notification bell. That'll alert you to when our latest videos come out. And if you want to stay up to date with all of the latest and greatest in automotive news, be sure to download the CarBuzz app on iOS and Android. That's where all of our latest content always lives. Hope you've enjoyed this video. See you next time.